Welcome to another Primetime Muscle. Fans from around the world, it is time. Tim Wilkins with one and only Chris Cormier.
Gucci Mane. Gucci Mane.
You know what? I never know where to go with that. Gucci Mane. You're just a melting ice cream cone face tattoo away from being Gucci Mane.
Gucci Mane.
Tarek Gilgindi, do you have any idea what we're talking about?
Yeah, well, actually, I usually hate how Chris Cormier dresses.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like it. I think it's...
I don't like it.
I don't like it. But I like this shirt. I could see myself wearing that shirt. Out of all the stuff that he's worn that's a little bit eccentric, I think this might be his best look.
Thank you, brother.
Chris, eccentric, that's not bad.
That's not bad. I like that. We're making progress. Ever since I beat you up the last time, you've been flying right, so I'm glad that happened.
You beat me up on what?
On television.
In what way?
Oh, we start off strong. Speaking of people who beat people, guys, we almost when I'm going to segue just so seamlessly.
I forgot where we were.
Apparently. I mean the sunglasses, Chris. Guys, the New York Pro, arguably one of the biggest shows of the year, one of the precursor shows for what's going on in the sport. Guys have to qualify more this year. It's not the top 5, it's the top 3. And one of the guys that would have potentially been top 3 last year had an injury just before the Olympia and had to requalify. Nick Walker steps up. His progress pictures leading up to the New York Pro were insane. Guys.
Well, Tim, first of all, congratulations to Steve Weinberger and the entire New York crew. What a great show. The New York Pro continues to be one of the premier shows that we have. And, in the beginning, the prize money was raised, so that was cool as well. In the beginning, Nick Walker announced that he was going to do the show. And I felt like a lot of bodybuilders were, that's the Nick Walker show. But no, a lot of people showed up. It ended up a lot of people that we didn't expect showing up. Martin Fitzwater, Tonio Burton, Quentin Arai, everybody showed up. And I thought Chris Cormier was going to show up too, maybe on a comeback. But in the end of the day, the young man delivered in what he promised. He said, guys, I'm not doing the Arnold. It's a bit too soon for me. I have the injury. I'm going to go to New York and I'm going to earn my qualification. And he did. And a lot of times, Tim, when a competitor says he's going to do a show, and then there's a level of disappointment. He didn't deliver. Nick Walker did. He looked massive. His conditioning was consistent. I believe he was consistent. And I think he was, there's something about Nick Walker when he walks on stage that it's a superb confidence, right? And when he walked on stage in New York, you could just tell he was telling everybody, including the other competitors, this is my show, guys. Everybody relax. You don't need to pump up. I'm coming out of here with the victory. And he did. So I can't wait to see him against Derek and Hadi. I think it's going to be a show for the ages. He already has his rivalry with Samson. But I'm happy the young man came out of an injury, won the New York Pro in convincing fashion. And, hey, now those other guys need to fight for qualifications.
Well, what you're witnessing here is Leoism. It's Leoism. You said walking out with this prowess look. The whole 9. That's what Leos do. And he was just doing what Leos do.
I love when Chris turns bodybuilding into the Psychic Friends Network. Do we know he's a Leo, or did you just
a Leo?
Okay.
We have Leo talks all the time. That's why I can never bet against this man ever again. He's a Leo. That's what he does.
So aside from his Leoism, Chris, he blew that hammy just for the Olympia. But every check-in picture for the last 3 or 4 months, he has stayed tight. He's dialing that waist down. What other improvements? What kind of stuff did he do?
The back, I thought caught up. To have an injury like that, you never know how you're going to come back. But I think he came back great for the energy, and the mental aspect of it all. Dealing with that, he was still having a lot of treatment ongoing throughout the time after the lengthy, time they need for that injury to heal. and it's like, you know, he wants to win the Olympia, and he's been telling us all he was going to do it. And, you know, judging from this show, moving forward, I mean, Beastwood did a great job.
That progress picture you posted a while back was sick. His arms are massive.
Yeah. And then, you know, work in progress still, Fitzwater, work in progress still. All these guys, you know, did great, you know, finding their niche, how they're going to look for the overall masterpiece that they're trying to build, getting ready for that Olympia.
Well, Tarek, the Olympia will be taking place this year in Las Vegas and midway through Scorpio. So I don't know how much that's going to affect our Leos.
Oh, well, I don't know.
Well, Leo shine. It's a fire sign. So you know we shine in big moments, and you can never count them out. That's all I'm telling you.
Well, it's a big moment. What do you see that he has to do?
Arnold Schwarzenegger was a Leo.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Jay Cutler.
Jay Cutler is a Leo. Victor Martinez is a Leo.
Really?
What about Ronnie Coleman?
He should be a Leo.
Oh, okay, yeah, that explains your logic. Lee Haney.
Should be a Leo.
Okay.
I'm going to look that up, Chris, because if
They're
all these Olympias are Leos, that's crazy.
Leos. They're all Leos.
So regardless of what sign he is, he could be a neon for all we know. But what does Nick Walker have to do? Because, okay, I always talk about this with the younger competitors. The other competitors are not stopping while you're growing. They're growing. Derek Lunsford put a picture on in mid to late March, early April of just his back. Did you see that? Lumbering through the gym. What does Nick Walker have to do to contend with Hadi and Derek?
I think Nick Walker can outmass them, especially from the front and side. Obviously, Derek Lunsford from the back is dominant, but from the front, most muscular, even that front double biceps, Nick Walker has more mass. And he's got to come with the same confidence that he presented in New York. When you go to the Olympia, sometimes you kind of tend to like, oh man, am I the winner or not? He needs to assume he's the winner at the Olympia, just like he did in New York.
He's always had that type of persona on the stage to me. He likes to connect with the audience, which I love how he does that. And yeah, he knows how to command the stage. I'm not worried about that with this guy. And I think, yeah, I think even a little bit more tinkering. He wants to get better. He's always looking to get better and get more definition. You see what he did with his waist. The transformation is going great, you know, right before our eyes.
Dialing that down. Well, so there's my question. So Tarek mentioned you being on stage at the Olympia, and of course he was kidding. But realistically, with a lot of these guys like Breon and Beastwood and some of these guys you're working with at Camp Cormier, a little piece of Chris Cormier is on stage. If you were working with Nick Walker and you qualified this far out from the Olympia, it gives you a couple months to grow, a couple months to cut back up, or with him stay in range. He stayed in striking distance.
Yeah, he don't waver off his diet too much at all.
So what would you do, going to the drawing board, what would you do between now and then?
I would even do more posing. I would try to understand my body even on a higher level than he does now. I would try to just balance out the physique. You know, if you can balance a little bit more in the leg department. He's always had that tremendous upper body. You know, the back detail, make everything, you know, subpar as you can to the top guys, and then beat them in the matches that you have. Use your muscle, out-muscle people, do all these things. That's going to get you a title.
Tarek, as a judge, what would you do?
You know, I'm always very suspicious when people tell me, oh, I was dieting and I grew 20 pounds of muscle. You know, it's like, you know, it's a bit of a mystery to me how with low calories, you're like growing all that muscle. But if you like to tell that fairy tale, we'll pretend we believe you. I think Nick Walker has all the mass in the world. I think Nick Walker just has to stay on a diet like he's consistently has done in the past. What I would suggest Nick Walker is, man, just be cautious, right? Be cautious, because those final workouts prior to the Olympia, everybody's physique is a bit more vulnerable. And he already had a very negative experience. You know, one time we had Olympia Life and he said, Tarek, I put on a good face, but I was going back to my hotel room crying. So it's a lesson to everybody. Just be a little bit cautious going into those final weeks. maybe doing a little bit less weight, a little bit less intensity, you're not going to get bigger in the last week of the show. Unless you're a Leo, then you freaking explode and you gain 37 pounds of muscle 3 days before the show because you were born at a certain time of the year.
I actually watched that backstage with an interview, and Joe Weider was in the pump-up pit. And Joe has the camera crew with him, and he comes, and Jay Cutler's sitting there, and he's just pumped up a little. He's just kind of chilling out. He goes, "Hey, Joe, Jay, how much you put on from last year? You look bigger." He says, "Well, I don't know, Joe, 25, 30 pounds?" And Joe, his eyes came out. What? Cut the cameras. I don't want to hear that. It was just insane. Well, guys, if it was up to me, I would take a little piece of both of what you just said. I would stay on the diet, stay tight, fine tune and be that conditioned guy. And the other is Nick, get with Chris and learn the subtleties. Learn the angles to take that waist down even more. You don't have to do it physically. You can do it with impression. Learn where to twist those wrists to get that last little bit of peak and open up those lats. There's subtleties to showcase that physique.
But my co-host here mentioned the word cautious. I mean, it's hard to be cautious trying to be the best in the world or something. I mean, there's different times. Vince Taylor was backstage pumping up for a show with a 20-pound dumbbell doing concentration curls and tore his bicep.
Backstage.
So, backstage, right before he went on stage, and that was in Germany. One time I was just hanging, stretching. You know how people hang and stretch. And I started to get a little tear. It felt like someone put a match or a lighter to my tricep and it started to tear. Just from hanging on my body weight in the gym, just stretching and like this, like I always done. So it's just a hard luck thing. I don't think you can actually be cautious to prevent anything from happening. But
when you're depleted, it is time to turn it down, and especially in that last 24 to 48 to 72 hours, when you're missing water, that muscle's really vulnerable.
For sure, you can get hurt jumping off a stair, off a few stairs, a flight of stairs. You can tear Achilles.
Yeah. So, Nick, big fans, looking forward to see what you bring to this epic 60th Olympia. Guys, we've got so much more Primetime Muscle when we come back after this. And we're back on Primetime Muscle, and we're talking about Tonio Burton. One of my favorite things, you're judging at the time, you're out being a celebrity. When I'm doing the Olympia broadcast, this year with Phil Heath, but last year with Phil Heath as well, and one of the cool things for us is the broadcast booth is here, and if you got to use the restroom or get a drink, the pump-up area is on the walk, or the run, as it were. And Tonio Burton was back there. Phil said, "Hey, I got to do something real quick." And he takes off his headset during a commercial. And when he comes back, he goes, "Dude, Tonio Burton is for real." He had just walked by him, and he said, he looks really good. And here we are a few months later, he's showing up at these shows, and he's battling it out for the top spots.
Well, coming from the 212 division, where he once was touted as a future problem for a lot of people there, then he decided to jump onto the open. And jumping into the open, he was in Reno, Nevada, and a lot of people say he might have placed in front of Sergio. A lot of people say he might have won the show, or they were just shocked that he was able to jump from category to category within not even given a year in between deciding to do it or not. And his physique, I told him all the time, he could be like the next Dexter. Don't try to rush this process, and come with the lines, make the lines and the separation. That be your weapon against some of these bigger guys, and I think that's going to help you take out a lot of bigger guys. You hypnotize the judges when you bring these different attributes to bodybuilding.
So similar to when Sean Carita crossed over.
Wow.
I knew you could say something. You guys get hypnotized
Are you
off the little
hypnotized?
things.
Yeah, I'm hypnotized by Chris Cormier's change of tone. Like, what have you been watching on Netflix?
I just noticed that you guys get hypnotized with certain physiques.
Listen, I got hypnotized by my wife, okay? Chris has a point when he mentions take it easy, he could be the next Dexter Jackson. I'm going to give you guys a little background on Tonio Burton. Tonio Burton turned pro at the USA's Red Trunks as a light heavy. He had a battle with Cleves. Cleves is a competitor from Palm Springs. Both of them on a final call out. Cleves actually went on to the North Americans to win the overall. But on that day, Tonio Burton won that battle and turned pro. And I remember him vividly because he had won a regional show, the Sampson Showdown, Patrick Sampson show. And one of the prizes for that show is you pay for the registration at the USA's. And Patrick called me and he said, Tarek, I got to pay for this guy that won the show. He's really good. He might be battling for the title. And I remember putting his name down. He goes into the 212. I think he took maybe a year off, and he goes into the 212. And he looked incredibly huge on that 212. Like, he couldn't even walk, you know. It was like all squeezed on the 212. And I don't think he looked you could tell his body was exploding. It was just like trying to contain the development. And then he goes to the Open. When he went to the Open, I said, I think it's going to take a little bit longer for him to make an impact. But it didn't. He went to Reno and he had a positive outcome there. His really coming out to the world was winning the New York Pro. I mean, who the hell wins the New York Pro in one of his first years as a pro? That's Phil Heath-like, right? Nick Walker wins the New York Pro. Phil Heath wins the New York Pro. Look at the names. Dexter Jackson. This guy won the New York Pro.
Chris Cormier.
Did you win that show? You didn't.
Yes, I have the ring. I'll bring it in.
You didn't win the
I'll
New
bring it
York
in so
Pro.
you can see it.
Did you really?
Yeah.
No, I don't think you did.
Joita held my hand up. Stop it.
I think you're lying on television.
I'm not lying on television. You better Google it and learn your bodybuilding
Chris
before you come up
Cormier,
here.
I think you're lying on television.
Challenging my Leo-esque.
I think you're lying on.
I Leo
but it's
that
okay.
show.
Going back to Tonio Burton before I clog your toilet. He had the beef with Raphael. Raphael said, "You came to my gym and you clogged my toilet." I'm like, Raphael, do you have cameras in the toilet? How do you know who clogs the toilet? You know,
maybe it's somebody on his team.
You know, and I was like. It was funny, but I think that Tonio maybe felt, man, you're embarrassing me right now.
I had to laugh because "you clogged my toilet" was put out in a formal statement. And that's one of the least formal things you could say. You clogged my toilet. I opened my gym to you, and you clogged my toilet?
And he said that, he caused, he was upset that you guys kicked him out of the gym. And he said that was part of the plan, that he was going to close off the gym at a certain time, but he felt he was kicked out of the gym because he probably made you look too bad, look bad up there. So,
and Chris, you ever planned to clog a toilet?
Well,
nobody plans. When that water starts to rise, the sweat starts to beat up, and you think, "What have I done?"
I had a number in the Gold's Gym in Vegas one time. That was not good.
All right, but it was on purpose?
No,
that's what I'm saying.
It just so happened to be what I ate before and what happened.
No, but. Listen, as a bodybuilder or anybody, if you clog somebody's toilet,
part of it, right?
You deal with it. But I don't think Tonio clogged his toilet. I think it was somebody else, and Raphael is competing against him, and he just visualized, this guy is my enemy. He clogged my toilet. And poor Tonio Burton is like, dude, I've been eating chicken and broccoli. I'm not clogging anybody's toilet. You know what I mean? It's not like he had a hefty meal at Cheesecake Factory.
Right.
But anyways, he was very conditioned in Brazil. And a lot of people thought he could have beaten Rafael in Brazil, right? And that's where the rivalry started. Tonio Burton, like Chris said, he can be the next Dexter Jackson. It's gonna take time. You know, if he ever tries to grow too fast, it's over for him. He's gonna mess his midsection and we won't be talking about it. He has to be patient, place in the top 10 of the Olympia. He won the New York Pro. Then he can make an attack at the Arnold Classic, maybe a top 3, a top 4. I just asked Tonio, be patient. You turn pro like Dexter as a light heavy. You didn't turn pro as a super heavy or like Nick Walker. It's gonna take a little bit of time. Derek Lunsford turned pro on the same show as a light heavy, Blue Trunks, and it took him time to get there.
Crotch master.
Just be patient. And by the way, you did won the Night of Champions.
Yes.
Which is now the New York Pro.
At the Beacon Theater, 1997.
So I give you, you didn't win the
year,
New York Pro, you won the Night of Champions.
What's the difference?
The difference is one is called the Night of Champions and the other one is called the New York Pro.
And where?
Both of them are in New York.
Okay, thank you. One's in Jersey.
So is Brooklyn,
anyway,
so is Manhattan. That doesn't mean they're the same thing.
Terry.
So
Listen. So, as I was going to say before I was rudely interrupted by my co-host, but I love him, Tonio did some catastrophic posing up there in Brazil, and it might have cost him the show. You know,
Catastrophic posing?
Yeah. Oh. So this what I think, you know, when you're doing a 3/4 back shot, you know, you come in here, you have to be really mindful of your lower abdomen popping out. That's got to be like sucked, that belly button to your lower back. And you got to come down and make that illusion of, you know, shoulder to shoulder, down to the point of the waist, and then down to the hip structure. So this guy did a 3/4 back this way, relaxed here. He did another one, another pose where he just totally relaxing in this area. That part's got to go first or second. You know, behind the serratus and obliques and everything, keep it all tight, like fitting it all in a small little box. But that's got to be really on your mind when you're doing these 3/4 back shots. And then bend your legs, Tonio, bend your legs when you are posing the front doubles. Don't try to stand so tall like a lot of short guys will do. They try to be taller than what they actually are, and they don't want to take the initiative of, if you shape the pose within from your toes to the kneecaps, on to the hips, everything's gonna come into play. You're not gonna be straight-legged like he does in a lot of poses.
you want to research somebody, go back, Tonio, and watch Flavio Boccanini. He could pose his ass off in all of 4'11 or
4'11 guy.
Yeah. So here's a question I have for you, Chris. As far as his mindset training, you're already talking about a midsection issue. And again, if you're not twisting all the way, you're going to get that belly show through no matter how you pull it in.
Being mindful of it, yeah.
But if you're not going slow, if you're pushing it, you're going to get that distended abdomen. If you're trying to grow too much too fast, you're going to get blocky.
Yeah, too much food. So
you got a big gut.
So if you know, and if I were him, I asked him, I said, Tonio, do you get a lot of striations? You seen striations in your quads before? He said, yes. I said, you've seen them all the way across your back. You got the Christmas tree, but there's still more across the back that I don't see.
Missing some branches.
So if you have that intact and you just bring that structure, that physique, and slowly bring it up into more and more dense look, I think that's going to be what he needs to do to get him to the next level.
Judge, lesson 1, stay out of Brazil.
You know, I give him credit because a lot of people thought, oh, this is Rafael's show. He went in Brazil and he put on a fight. His back double biceps is what reminds me the most about Dexter Jackson. He's got to be consistent with the conditioning because he's not one of the biggest guys. And he has to understand, I'm not one of the biggest guys. I'm never going to outmass Nick Walker. So his conditioning has to be impeccable.
And balance.
He needs to be balanced. He needs to have the beautiful lines. He needs to improve his posing. And maybe gradually, just like Dexter Jackson did, grow the size. I implore him, do not go crazy with trying to get big. I've seen tons of guys trying to get big too fast, and that waist goes, and if that goes, it's over.
Agreed.
It's a wrap.
All right, Tonio Burton, there's some marching orders right there for your moving up the food chain and making those big showings at the Arnold Classic and eventually the Olympia as well. And when we come back on Primetime Muscle, one more guy that we've been watching come up the ranks and actually cross over into the IFBB Pro League, and it's his first year. This is very exciting when we come back. And we're back, always the shenanigans off camera. So, guys, Tarek, you know these backstories, and this is a fun one. Michael Goodvito. It is Michael, is it not?
No, it's Vitali.
Vitali, thank you so much.
Nice for you to Americanize the guy.
I did. Welcome to America, Goodvito.
Very colonial of you.
Yes.
Just change the guy's name from Vitali to Michael.
Hey, go get a job and learn the language. So,
that's why we won the Cold War, folks, because a guy like Tim Wilkins.
My ancestors ran the Ellis Island. So anyway, Terry. See, I just colonialized him too. Goodvito was in other leagues, correct? And he crossed over finally, realized that there was no future in those leagues.
Very interesting story. Very interesting story. I'm going to release a secret here.
Oh, boy.
I saw him on Instagram, and I said, man, this guy is good, this and that. And I was talking to some other judges, some high officials in the IFBB Pro League and NPC, and I have great relationship with the competitors. It's one of my strengths. And I said, I'm going to try to reach out to this guy who's on the other federation. I'm going to send him a message, and I send this really nice message.
So you're the reason.
No, stop. Just stop.
Oh my
Just shut the hell up. Shut the hell up.
So you're the reason you saved bodybuilding. Because you not only did the men's physique class and they modeled the men's physique class after you, now you're recruiting special talents around the world. That's amazing.
That is amazing.
That's
and I have
amazing.
the text message, and I can bring the highest people. I can bring
The highest people.
The highest people to show you that I was the first one. Can I just finish my story?
Chris.
Can I finish my story? Okay. This represents my struggle.
Let his people go.
My struggle.
Go.
Okay. This represents my struggle. So I sent him a message, but before sending a message to him on Instagram, I translated to Russian on Google Translate. And this guy responded to me, and he goes, if you have a company that's interested in sponsoring me, maybe we can think about it. He's looking for the money. He doesn't care about federations. He's like, I need money. I live in Russia. I'm hungry. I'm cold. You get me somebody, and I'll go. I called Felipe Bragança, who is the owner of Integral Medical, our presenting sponsor, and I say, hey, maybe this guy can come to Brazil and make an impact, this and that. And we're all talking, and eventually Felipe connects with Vitali Gavito and brings him to Brazil. That's where he lives right now. Oh, wow.
Does he speak Portuguese?
Yeah, this guy has been in Brazil for 2 years. He speaks perfect Portuguese.
Really?
He married a Brazilian girl, and now he has
2 years.
And now he has a kid in Brazil. And I remember when I met him in Brazil, he was very grateful to me. I took pictures of him with the NPC shirt, and I sent it to Jim, and I said, Jim, look, this guy is now on our side. So yes, you fool. You fool. Okay?
Oh my gosh.
So yes.
It is the truth. Okay? It is the truth.
I want to see the receipts.
And if Vitali Gavito is ever here, he'll tell you that.
I want to see the receipts.
In perfect Portuguese. So here's an interesting thing too, because I just want to make note of this. You kind of threw it out there. Integral Medica, our presenting sponsor for this year's Olympia. the 60th Olympia.
Correct.
Super important to make sure that they're getting their props. Thank you, Integramatica.
Thank you.
So now that he's here, so he just didn't walk into the IFBB Pro League. So tell us that little quick journey where he said he had to go NPC, win, and get there.
He went to Brazil. He did the muscle contest, Brazil. Obviously, he dominated, won his pro card, and then he took a little bit of time. He was supposed to compete at the Arnold Brazil, took a little bit of time, got big, and then competing on the following year. And he brought the heat, man. He looked incredible at the Arnold Brazil. He was muscular. He was great. He put on a fight against Tonio Burton and Rafael. And then he went to Detroit against Martin Fitzwater, looked even better.
That could have gone either way with that show.
So this guy is the real deal. I'm a believer. I think he can be at the Mr. Olympia, and I'm a huge fan of his. I take some credit for bringing him to the NPC. I don't care what you say, fool. That is my struggle. This represents my struggle.
You want to chop me down.
Okay.
So here's the thing. Good Vito. I mean, a young cat. We featured him on this show, I think a year or so ago. And, you know, he's improved so much. You know, going to Brazil by way of my co-host here, the puppet master in bodybuilding. He did nothing but improve, and he's improving more and more. So you saw him in Brazil going against, you know, some top competitors, people who have won shows, so he had, you know, chief competition in that Brazilian Arnold Classic. And then going to the next show, they were going right away, you know. Chris Aceto did a great job with his diet. I think he, in my opinion, was the leanest out of all the guys at the Brazil show.
Yeah.
And then he took that and improved on top of that. Also, he looked a lot better. I don't know if it was color or maybe, you know, just being a rookie in the IFBB. But, you know, putting it all together, I had him in first place.
In Detroit?
In Detroit.
So did I.
And then, you know, he slipped a little bit at the night show, but you never know how a judge is going to judge at that point. Was that enough to win it from the morning show? Or did he have to, you know, get re-judged? And Martin Fitzwater improved a little bit. Gavito slipped a little bit. And was that enough to change it over? I don't know. I just thought, you know, a lot of shots that he was the more dominant competitor on that stage.
Well, here's an interesting thing, and we talk about this a lot. The check-in pictures and the update pictures, and these guys put them out, and you look at a good Vito and you say, who's even going to come close to this guy at the Detroit Pro? And then you put him on stage next to Fitzwater, you go, I can't tell them apart. I needed him labeled a couple times. All right, who has hair? Which one of them has hair?
But you know, good Vito, I mean, he has super wide stance. I don't know why. I guess that's the way he connects the best with his legs, because the legs are super striated and separated, which, you know, I'm a big fan of. And, you know, it's just going to be understanding his body moving forward, understanding what pose is going to be best, understanding which ones not to do, or, you know, just connecting with his physique up there, improving the muscle. He needs a little bit more pop in the physique. He's got the width, but he needs to grow this way, and that's the last part. And him being so young, that's just a matter of time.
One of the things that he impressed me was the legs. Even Martin Fitzwater, we did a live with Martin Fitzwater, and he said, man, his legs are immense. He needs a little bit more density on the chest. He's got the large clavicle bones, but it looks, you know, especially on the side chest, he lost that pose to Martin. A little bit more density on the chest. I always thought Vitali Gavito was a better prospect than Michael Krizo coming from the other federation, even though Michael Krizo came out faster. But Vitali Gavito has huge clavicle bones. The legs are massive. The waist is not one of the smallest. He's not going to be, you know, with Rafael and Tonio Burton on the waist department, and he got exposed on that in Brazil. But he's going to find his place. Okay, if he gets a little bit bigger, a little bit more density, we could have another Nick Walker coming, you know, up the ranks here.
I can't wait to see Krizo, Gavito, and Nexzilla all in the same lineup. See those guys going on.
That sounds like a Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Well, now that you bring up Krizo, you remind me where I got Michael. Michael Krizo, not Michael Gavito.
Krizo.
You are correct. Well,
Just to save yourself at the end.
as always, it doesn't save me. It's still sad.
Comments, questions.
Subscribe, share. We
All of that stuff.
We'd
Yeah.
love to hear from
Man,
you.
And
You know,
tell us what you think about my co-host here being the puppet master of bodybuilding. I want to hear what you guys have.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just wanna hear what you guys gotta say.
Absolutely.
not
Write it
making
down
fun.
in the comments. And if you
I'm
have
not making fun.
the fans like me on the show. If you look at the comments, they all go, "Man, Tarek is
Savior.
always there. He's always present. We just need to replace the black guy on the left." That's what the comments are.
Boy, stop. Good.
But don't worry, Sean Ray, it's not gonna be okay.
So
you
close.
just stay at home in your sofa trying to criticize us. Okay?
I'll take that. There was
You're
no
not the Hall of
talking about.
Famer here.
I'll
You're
take-
the guy watching us, okay, with your bicycle and your Caymas wine that we all know it's not aged. It's 2024 and you got it on a discount.
I'll take this over, gentlemen. Fans, friends, thank you as always for joining us on Primetime Muscle.
Discount.
Chris Cormier, Tarek El-Gindi. I'm Tim Wilkins. We'll see you next time.